Hi, everybody. It's Melissa with Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that has been very near and dear to me, and an issue that I still struggle with to this day, and that I still have to work on every single day. And that is showing up as your true badass self. That's right, I said it. Be your true badass self. This is something that has been popping up for me lately. And today I felt like I've received a lot of God winks about this. When I'm getting ready for work in the morning, I usually listen to a podcast while I'm putting on my makeup. And as I was getting ready for work this morning, I hit what I thought was one podcast episode. I think it was about mediumship. But it turned out to be a different episode that played entirely. And the interesting thing was that it was a message that I really needed to hear, and I really didn't know I needed to hear this message. And when I asked, what I should talk about in this podcast, Spirit kind of gave me the message that this is a message that a lot of people need to hear. So I decided to talk about what this podcast I listened to today was all about. So it was all about how we need to start showing up every day, confident in the skills we have and the people that we are. So many of us are light workers, and we're getting signs that we're light workers and we need to start showing up. And many of our abilities are starting to show up and awaken within us. Yet, we're hesitant to show up fully in our lives because we're afraid that we are being phony. We're afraid that what we're getting isn't really the truth, or we're not really picking up the things that we know we're getting. We're doubting it. We're doubting our intuition. Or we're afraid that people are going to judge us. But I think really it's about that we don't believe what we're really capable of, what we're saying we're capable of doing. And I think this was part of it for me. I want to show up as this healer, and it's what I believe in, and it's what I do. And then there's still a part of me that says, am I really doing this? And is this really helping people? I think I had that in the back of my mind. I think many of us, we feel like we don't know enough, or we don't have enough, or we are not enough, period. Which is really just our egos talking. And because I myself know that I went through the course, I did the practices that were required. I've had people tell me that I'm awesome and that I've helped them so much. And yet I still have that nagging doubt sometimes in the back of my mind. And I know that it's not the truth. It's not really that I'm not capable or I'm not good enough. That's my ego talking. And I let it get in my head a lot. And I know that I'm not the only person. I know that there's a lot of you out there who are struggling with the same thing. It's like we talk a big talk, and then inside we really struggle with our worthiness, or feeling like we have everything that we need. So we don't show up fully in our capacity as light workers. And on the podcast today, the man was talking about how he taught a class, and it was a class for students who wanted to become life coaches. So as he was teaching this class, he had a student who, she had a look of anxiety on her face, and he could tell that something was wrong. And so she asked a question. And the question kind of took him back. She said, how am I supposed to help other people when I don't have all of my own shit together? And so in other words, here I'm supposed to be a life coach. I'm supposed to be helping other people get their life back on track. And yet, I don't fully have my life on track yet. Which is interesting because honestly, I can't tell you how many times I have talked to therapists who help a lot of people. And yet they have their own interpersonal demons going on that nobody knows about. They put on that professional face, but inside they have their own struggles. And the thing is, the struggles they have, it doesn't define the job that they do. You can be a wonderful therapist for other people and help other people and still struggle yourself, because it's a lot easier to see in others problems and issues than it is within ourselves. I would just say that. But I thought this professor, I thought he handled this really well. So when she said, I don't always know what I'm supposed to be doing for myself, how can I help others? And he said to her that it didn't matter what was going on in her own life. She still had the skills she needed to help others, and that it was her own fears and her ego that were keeping her stuck. And it turns out that he was indeed correct. In this class, they had to do a week-long session of practice coaching with other students. And when she did her session, she rocked it. She was great. She helped so many people. And so he proved to her, look, you don't have to have all the answers for yourself in order to help others. And so I feel like that's where a lot of us get stuck. This story, though, it also made me think of something that happened in my own life. I took an online mediumship course with a group of other women, and it was a 2-day course, so it was pretty intense. And we had to do practice sessions once the course was over. And so we had to set up practice sessions with one another, and then they were 10, 15-minute sessions. So in one of the sessions, well, first of all of the women were posting on our Facebook group that they were freaking out and that they weren't getting anything and they weren't good enough. They were going to fail at this. So they were really shutting themselves down and already predicting their own failure before they even got started with the practice readings. They hadn't even started and they were all saying that they were not going to be able to do it and that they were failing already. So there was a lot of that going on. So already a lot of self-sabotaging without even trying. But then I had a session with a girl, and she was really sweet, and I went first, and I told her that I was getting that she was having a lot of doubts and that she wasn't trusting herself and wasn't trusting the answers that she's getting as true. And I told her, you need to trust what you get, know that it's the truth. It may not necessarily, it may not make sense at the time, but later on it's going to make sense because it's true. Just know that it's true. So we went on with our session, and it came time for us to switch, and it was her turn to read for me. And she got that my grandmother was coming through, but then the only other thing that she got was bunnies. So she said, your grandmother and then bunnies. Well, it didn't make any sense to me at the time. I wanted to be super supportive, like, oh, yeah, I don't know what you mean, but I'm sure there'll be something later. So, I felt terrible because I thought, well, I couldn't even boost her confidence. I mean, yes, she said she had my grandmother there, but I don't know what bunnies meant. So flash forward to that evening, and it was seriously the same day. A little bit later on, I went to my cousin's house, and I noticed that she had a picture on her cabinet of a baby, and I just assumed it was her granddaughter, but her granddaughter's 10 now, 10 or 11, and so I walked over anyway just to look at the picture because I thought, oh yeah, I forgot what she even looked like as a baby. I was going to go look at the picture. And then I got over to the cabinet, I realized it wasn't a picture of her granddaughter at all. It was a picture of my niece, and my niece is named after my grandma, and it actually said on the picture Virginia, which is my grandmother's name. And then next to the picture, on either side of the picture, were ceramic bunnies, and then there was a plate, like on a plate stand as decoration behind the picture that also had a bunny on it. And I kid you not, the picture frame said, I love you very much. And I was floored. I couldn't believe what I saw. I thought, oh my gosh, there's the bunny. That's the connection. And that's exactly, her message was, I love you very much. And I told my cousin, I said, okay, because she looked at me like, what's wrong? And I told her the story. And she couldn't believe it. She was in shock too. So, of course, immediately I had to text the girl that I was working with and tell her, I understand what you were saying earlier. I know what bunny means now. And she was floored. We were all just shocked. But the point of the story was that, she was doubting herself and not showing up completely when everything that she got was right. She had all the tools she needed. It was her own fear that was holding her back from showing up fully and completely. And had she known what bunny actually meant, she would have totally realized, oh yeah, that's amazing. Like, I'm getting some great stuff here. But because the answer wasn't there right away, she was doubting herself and decided that, I'm not good enough. And that was totally not true because she did an awesome job. I mean, what a validation to get with the bunnies and, Virginia and I love you very much. I mean, it was so crazy and such an amazing experience. But I think that happens to us so much of the time. We have things that happen to us that make us doubt ourselves. And we think, if I don't have my life together, how can I show up fully and completely to help others or be there for others? And it just, I don't know. I don't know why we do that to ourselves. I know I've needed this message because I struggle with starting my own business and with building it. Sometimes I doubt my ability to make this business grow, even though I put in a lot of hard work. I do this podcast every day. I post on Instagram and Facebook every day. I'm doing my sessions when people call me to get a Reiki session and they say that it's amazing. But I still have that doubt. Like, can I really do this? And I don't even know where that comes from, but I work really hard every day. I go to work and teach all day, come home and take care of my children, and do all of this on top of it. And I'm able to manage it and juggle it. And why am I doubting myself? Obviously, I've got this. I'm in control and I'm doing a good job. So why do I tell myself that? Because it's my ego and it's fear. And fear is just an illusion. It's just something that keeps us small and holds us back. So, are you showing up fully? Are you showing up in your full potential? Or are you afraid, so you're not really putting yourself out there completely? What's going on in your life? What's it like for you? I mean, I know that I have all the skills and the capabilities, and that I'm intelligent and I'm hardworking. I've studied, I've done all the work. I just have to remember the part that I am worthy. I am more than enough. I am totally capable of doing anything I set my mind to. But I have to tell myself that every day. And I also have to remember to rely fully on my team. That sometimes I have to give up control about how things are going to show up and just know that they're going to show up. To ask them for guidance. And the funny thing is that I listened to a second podcast on the way to work. And that podcast was all about how to call on your team to help you. Which, hello, was another God wink for me. I needed to figure out how to call them in a different way because I call on them. But what the person in this podcast said was that it's not enough to just call on them. We need to be asking them specific questions because that's how we get the answers to our questions, is only when we're specifically asking for things and not just a blanket help me. But they need to know specifically, what do we need help with? They can't just help us without knowing that we want it or need it. And what is it that we're wanting help with? So she said, here's an example. You could ask for your team to give you help by giving you ideas for how to grow your business. Or you could ask your team to help connect you with people who can help you grow your business. Or put you in situations where you can grow your business. Being at the right place at the right time, meeting the right connections, all those things are a way to grow a business. Yet I didn't ask for things like that. I wasn't asking for that. I was asking, just help me grow it, and not, hey, can you give me ideas? Can you make connections to new people? Can you do this? Can you do that? So I wasn't being specific enough, and it really took me to help me realize that I wasn't being specific enough. I was not showing up and asking for the right help. I was just asking for help in a blanket statement like, please help me. Of course, they didn't know exactly what I need help with. You've got to be very specific. They have to know exactly how I need them to show up and help me. So I was blown away today by all of the messages that I received regarding my own life. And I know that some of you need the same message. You need to know how to show up as your authentic self and how to show up fully and to stop being afraid. Are you being who you are meant to be, or does fear hold you back? Are you asking specific questions of your spiritual team so they can help you and so that you can get proper answers and guidance? If you've said no to either of those things, you need to start doing that today. Don't let fear get in your head and stop you from putting yourself out there and helping others or being in your business or whatever it is that you're trying to do. Know that you have everything you need to make it work. You are talented, you're successful, you're capable. You have everything you need with you already. Don't let that stop you. And start calling on your team for specific questions, guidance about specific things, because they will answer your questions. We just have to be willing to listen for guidance and to look for guidance, and also to know how to ask the proper questions. Help me understand what I need to do in order to grow my business. How can I be more successful? Give me some ideas for how to grow my business. Help me to make connections with people who can grow my business. And help me to know that these are the people who are going to help me grow my business. Things like that. Make sure you're doing that every day. I hope that you're showing up as yourself fully, truly, and authentically. It's the only way we can live our best life. If we're not showing up authentically that way and in our full presence, we're kind of like prisoners, and we're denying ourselves our basic rights, which is to be free, to be who we are. So I hope that you are feeling so free and able to show up as the badass that you are, because you truly are. I hope that you have a wonderful day. I am sending you love, peace, and light, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.